The 10 most painful ways to die. Hey there! Let's talk about something that's often considered a heavy and mysterious topic: death. It's natural to feel uneasy about it, whether it's our own or someone close to us. It perplexes even those of religious faith. We all wonder about the last moments, but nobody who has passed away can give us an answer. And let's face it, the stories of people coming back from the dead are a little questionable. But here's the thing. Scientists haven't shied away from exploring the truth about death. They've delved into the painful realities of what it feels like to die, and what they've found is both fascinating and terrifying. While most deaths are painless due to the body's natural active dying state, some can be absolutely excruciating. Research has identified some of the worst ways to die. Drowning. Have you ever accidentally inhaled water while taking a shower? While many people assume that drowning is a painless death, the reality is far more excruciating. As we fight to stay afloat, our bodies hyperventilate, causing us to inhale water, which can lead to a laryngospasm that feels like our vocal cords are being crushed. It's like having a searing pain in your lungs that lingers long after you submerged. And it's not a peaceful way to go. Can you imagine the terror and panic of fighting for air while the water engulfs you? It's no wonder the author Sebastian Junger describes the experience as agony in his book The Perfect Storm. In fact, an article in the Medico-Legal Journal notes that drowning can be incredibly painful, alongside the sheer panic that comes with it. So, while drowning may not always look distressing, it's one painful and terrifying way to die. Lethal injection. Lethal injection was developed as a more humane method of execution. The idea was that a cocktail of 3 drugs would render the person unconscious, paralyzed, and cause cardiac arrest with minimal pain. However, even when the protocol is followed perfectly, the process can still result in excruciating agony, according to the New York Times. The Equal Justice Initiative reports that it can take up to 2 hours for death to occur, and NPR notes that the sensation is similar to drowning, causing extreme panic and terror. NPR's review of 200 inmate autopsies found significant pulmonary edema and lungs that were almost double the expected weight. Dr. Joel Zivit of Emory University Hospital was surprised by the findings, stating, "I imagine that lethal injection induced a quick, painless death, or at least close to it. However, the autopsies revealed a different reality. I began to see a picture that was more consistent with a slower death," he says. A death of organ failure of a dramatic nature that I recognize would be associated with suffering. These findings are now the forefront of legal challenges to lethal injection across the country. Crucifixion. Although most people are familiar with the crucifixion through the story of Jesus Christ, the practice dates back to the 6th century BC. According to Forbes, popular depictions of crucifixion often misrepresent the details. Crucifixion is anything but peaceful. The nails were not driven through the palms, but rather through the wrists, hitting the median nerve, causing excruciating agony as the hands contract. As one expert explains, the pain is akin to lightning going through your middle and ring fingers. The pain inflicted during crucifixion is so intense that the word excruciating actually derives from it. As it's noted by Azusa Pacific University, can you imagine the pain of having your entire body weight supported by those nails? Electrocution. Imagine tripping on a high-voltage live wire. As you might imagine, death by electrocution isn't fun. According to the Death Penalty Information Center, it's horrific. It is one of the most excruciating ways to die, as evidenced by documented accounts of prisoners executed in the electric chair. The voltage coursing through the body causes muscles to contract and seize up, heart failure, painful fractures and broken bones, and agonizing tissue swelling. In some cases, the skin turns bright red and cracks open and eyeballs pop out of their sockets. Additionally, there is possibility of catching fire. Accidental electrocution also results in severe pain, as one survivor described their experience as otherworldly pain. Whether by state-sanctioned execution or unfortunate accident, death by electrocution is a painful and brutal way to go. Decompression. The excruciating pain that accompanies decompression sickness is often overlooked, as it is a danger most people don't encounter in their daily lives. According to Merck manuals, this condition arises when divers breathe in compressed air that has more oxygen and nitrogen molecules than air at the surface. Nitrogen accumulates in the body as the extra oxygen is consumed. If divers rise to the surface too quickly, the nitrogen expands and creates bubbles that cause severe pain, tissue damage, and even death. The Byford dolphin accident provides a stark example of just how painful and explosive decompression can be. In 1983, several divers on the submersible drilling rig owned by BP went deep underwater. When they returned to the surface, the pressure inside the diving bell was 9 times greater than at the surface, leading to an explosive decompression. The divers' pressurized bloodstream suddenly expanded, causing them to explode. One of them was completely disintegrated. Burns. Imagine the excruciating pain of a small burn in the kitchen. Now imagine a more severe burn, magnified across your entire body. According to Dr. Valerie Rayo, a forensic pathologist, burning to death is a gruesome process. The skin turns black and splits open, exposing the tissue beneath to the flames, causing the victim to choke on smoke and soot while their muscles seize up painfully. The superheated air around them makes it even more painful to breathe. As The Guardian notes, the pain is most intense when the flame first burns the skin, subduing when the nerves are burned away before starting the process again on the next area of skin. In some places around the world, people have been caught in pyroclastic flows after volcanic eruptions. IFL Science reports that lava can reach temperatures of 1,830 degrees Fahrenheit, cooking the skin instantly and causing the body to contract into a pugilistic pose as it enters rigor mortis. The heat can even boil the brain inside the skull, shattering it in the process. Radiation sickness. Radiation sickness is a silent killer that inflicts invisible agony upon its victims. Deadly gamma radiation can penetrate the body, damaging tissues and genetic material, resulting in a cascade of debilitating health problems. Bone marrow damage can lead to loss of immunity response, intestinal damage can cause dehydration and infection, and the circulatory system can ultimately collapse. But the agony of radiation sickness doesn't stop there. The pain and headache experience can be excruciating, as reported in the scientific journal Reports of Practical Oncology and Radiotherapy. Even a small level of exposure can lead to severe suffering, as exemplified by a man undergoing tongue cancer treatment who was accidentally exposed to radiation beams, suffering deafness, blindness, loss of teeth, and ability to swallow, ulcers in the mouth and throat, and agonizing pain, as reported by the New York Times. The silent, invisible agony of radiation sickness makes it one of the most excruciating ways to die. Freezing. How long can you hold a chunk of ice cube in your mouth? While it may seem like freezing to death is a peaceful way to go, in reality, it can be an excruciating and painful process. The first stage of hypothermia involves uncontrollable shivering as the body attempts to generate heat. As the body's core temperature drops, muscle stiffness and disorientation can set in, and circulating blood is pulled from the extremities, resulting in aching and burning sensations in the hands and feet. Eventually, the body will numb, and the brain may misfire, causing confusion and leading to behaviors such as paradoxic undressing and attempts to burrow into the ground while naked. Boomslang. The boomslang is a rear-fanged snake belonging to the Colubridae family, native to sub-Saharan Africa. This elusive serpent possesses one of the deadliest venoms to humans. A small amount of venom can lead to hemorrhages and prove fatal. What makes death by boomslang particularly terrible is the excruciating pain that accompanies it. The venom triggers the formation of numerous blood clots, leading to internal bleeding from orifices, fever, nausea, and uncontrollable shaking. In 1957, researcher Carl P. Schmidt documented his experience after being bitten by a boomslang, and his diary entries recount a harrowing tale of bleeding from his gums, eyes, and mouth, urinating blood, and vomiting blood and stomach contents. Heart attack. Heart attacks are a harrowing experience that can strike at any moment, leaving victims helpless and in excruciating pain. This deadly condition, which is all too familiar in today's modern world, has been depicted in films and TV shows, making the idea of suddenly keeling over all the more terrifying. A heart attack can be an incredibly painful way to die, with warning signs that can be just as agonizing. As the American Heart Association warns, chest pains during a heart attack can feel like an elephant sitting on your chest, and the pressure can be unbearable. Painful symptoms can also radiate to your arms, upper back, shoulders, or even your jaw, leaving you writhing in agony. In fact, one woman described her left arm pain during a heart attack as excruciating, a word that is commonly associated with this life-threatening condition. While it's important to be aware of the potential pain and suffering that can accompany death, it's equally important to remember that life is precious and meant to be enjoyed. Each moment is an opportunity to create meaningful experiences and memories, and we should strive to make the most of them while we can. So, while we hope to avoid the worst ways to die, let's not forget to live life to the fullest in the meantime.